With the surprise victory of AOC in the 2018 Democratic primaries and the high-profile candidacy of self-described democratic socialist Bernie Sanders, the fear of America becoming a socialist country has been a big part of Donald Trump's strategy against Democrats in 2020. I mean, Trump just recently used socialism as his reasoning for what I would argue his very racially insensitive tweets, calling on 4 Democratic congresswomen of color to go back to their, quote, broken and crime-infested countries. He tweeted, "We will never be a socialist or communist country. If you are not happy here, you can leave." However, there is one key bit of information Trump purposely leaves out when discussing these individuals. Today's socialists do not define socialism the same way they once did. Socialism historically has been associated with the concept of public or collective ownership of property and natural resources, and has long been associated with Marxism and communism. Now, almost 70 years later, Americans' views on socialism have broadened. I mean, according to a 2018 Gallup poll, there was a drop in the percentage of Americans who define socialism as government ownership of the means of production from 34% to 17%. This drop was offset by an increase from 17% to 35% in those who define socialism as equality, or in terms that are closer to what might be considered a more standard liberalism. Now, the contradictory opinions Americans have on the definition of socialism is the reason why we tend to see democratic socialists like AOC and Bernie Sanders falsely cite Nordic countries like Denmark as an example of successful socialist governments. I mean, even Denmark's past prime minister has made sure to clarify that his country's economy is not socialist, but more a market economy with strong social safety nets. But here's the thing. If Democrats continue to point to countries like Denmark as examples of their ideal economic system, then wouldn't it be easier to just discuss policies based on their definition rather than debating the merits of capitalism versus socialism? I mean, Americans are already split on how to describe the American economy, with 34% saying the economy leans more towards market control, 40% saying it leans more towards government control, and 25% describes it as an equal mix. Look, my point is, no country is the embodiment of any ideology, and modern democracies reflect the ideas of their citizens, whose ideas, even at the individual level, often conflict. I mean, the freedom to speak up and criticize the government is what makes America great. Politics is always controversial. We all hold on to our beliefs. It's human nature. But the danger in the US, and soon probably elsewhere, is that we're having arguments without even agreeing on what the argument is about. How can you meaningfully debate a proposal when the very terms used to define it have radically different meanings for the people you're trying to debate? Look, if you are a Republican or a conservative and find yourself in a debate or discussion with a self-identified socialist, now, instead of assuming they're attempting to transform the US into Venezuela, just start by asking, do you believe in government ownership, or do you just want universal health care? I mean, this will go far in allowing you to not only understand where they're coming from, but how to properly critique their arguments. After all, I mean, you don't have to agree with them. But if you're going to have an argument, at the very least, make it about a difference in views that actually exists.